What the cops want to know that for, you know? And it made sense when I found out later it was the press and stuff. But the household, when you raise kids, as you all know, you've all been kids, you know, some of you are parents, obviously. I think it's so important to encourage. Like when a kid throws food against the wall, leave it there for a while. It's art. Look at this woman's looking at me like, what? You know, everything's creative. Anything to encourage creativity. Anything to encourage expression. I think it's the stunting of creativity and communication that causes us problems. As you two gentlemen in the suits and the face paint absolutely know, right? Stunted creativity causes problems. Good for you. Another question. Yes?
Hi, Mike. What inspired you to be an actor?
I was a writer.
That
Play opened up some other things. A couple of years after, it got done by a company called Factory Land Theatre. And a couple of years later, about a year later, the Toronto Workshop Theatre said, "Have you got anything else?" And I said, "No, I got this one play called East of the River." It was because I was born in the east end of Toronto, east of Don Valley, the Don River. And they put it on, and I went to I had all these scholarships to go to all these universities for writing, but I ended up going to the Ontario College of Art. Now it's called OCAD, Ontario College of Art and Design. And it was affiliated with the University of Toronto, so I figured I could do both. I could maybe get an engineering degree and also do art at the same time. And it's a long answer to your question.
It's okay.
And while I was there, I discovered bars, the Beverly Tavern. Girls go to bars. I discovered all different parts of my body, and because I've been working for like all those years, I never had any social life, so my writing and my paint just dropped right off. And our exams were, you had to put your exams twice a year in the art college, was you show what you've been doing for a semester. They come in and they basically talk to you about it and they judge and stuff like that. And I was short, I hadn't been doing too much, you know, so I got all my plays out, changed the fucking dates on them, and wrote them out, put them out there, that'll saddle the buggers, you know, and put it out. And the guy who was looking after me, named Gustav Wiseman, great man, beautiful man. He came in and he looked at my art, and then he saw my plays and said, I thought, what the fuck's going on? I mean, 5 minutes into my show, they're all sitting in corners reading my plays. You know, and they all come up to me afterwards and say, "What the hell are you doing at art college? This stuff is really good." And I said, "Well, I don't know. I have no direction in my life." And so Gus went about, and God love him, he got, the next semester, he hired a playwright, to teach creative writing, because he believed creativity is creativity all over, right? And said, "You have to take this class to justify me hiring this man." So about 8 of us did. He ended up having a play at an acting class. I know it's a long answer. He had a play at a place called Eli Reel's acting class. And he said, "Would you like to come and see one of my plays? It's in workshop, something I'm working on." So I went there, and his play was all right. Actually, it was not very good. But before he went up, there was a young man that did a play by William Saroyan called Hello Out There. And the opening of the play is the guy's in a jail cell, and he says hello out there 17 times in a row. That's the dialogue in the play, Saroyan's play. And not only did this young man do it well, I was sitting there at the acting class watching it. I had this moment of clarity. It was like, shit. It was like I'm writing music and I have no understanding of any instrument that plays it. You know, I'm writing theater and I'm writing scripts and stuff like this, and I have no idea of what kind of instrument you need to play this stuff, you know? And not only did he do a really good job, it kind of got me like, holy. So after it was over, I went down to Eli Reel, and I said, I'd like to join your class. And he said, "Why?" You know, he says, "You got 2 plays." And I told him, he said, "Well, all right." He also told me, he says, "You're gonna get laid a lot." You know? I still don't understand that, but horny old bugger. And but that was the beginning of it. I ended up getting invited to the National Film Board about 2 years later, a workshop for writers, directors, and actors. It was like professionals. I was the only one who was not a pro, because I was still at I was doing postgraduate work at the art college, and I went in as a writer, came out as an actor-director writer at 5 years later, and that was 24 hours a week, 3 8 hours of classes plus all the prep, and we did everything. We did acting and writing, did everything, and Canada in those days was very, very important. It was. Once I started working in the film industry, I didn't want to leave, so I did everything. You know, I'd do like something in front of the camera, but I'd also work behind the camera. I did gripping work, I did lighting, anything I could to stay in the circus, you know.
Just like the creative process type of thing, you were just into the...
It's kind of like my dad said, he ran away and joined the circus. It's the truth. I encourage a lot of young actors, especially in Canada, if you can't get a job in front of the camera, get a job behind the camera. Be a part of the crew. Because it gives you an understanding and the mechanisms and everything and stuff, you know what I mean? I'll tell you a quick story. All right, I'll tell you anyway. There's a film out there called Nothing Personal. A long time ago. It was done in, like, I think the mid-70s with Donald Sutherland and Susan Summers and a whole bunch of people. And the woman that was running the wardrobe was named Delphine White. She's quite famous now. But I went to Delphine and I said, look, I got a mortgage to pay. You got anything in your department I could do? And she goes, yeah, you can do third wardrobe, which means washing the laundry. And I said, I'll take it. I'll fucking take it, you know. So there I was. Now, Donald Sutherland had just decided to quit smoking. And he got onto this health kick, evidently. And he wanted nothing but cotton and natural clothing. So she had to go and get him all natural clothing. So you couldn't machine wash his stuff. It had to be washed by hand. And it had to be hung because it's all cottons and linens and all this crap. So there I am at night, washing the skid marks out of his cotton underwear, right? I'm in show business. So about a month into the film, I got a call from my agent. They said, oh, you got a part in this film called Nothing Personal. I went, oh, all right. I told Delphine, she goes, all right, but I can't replace you. I said, I'll do both, don't worry. So I went in and I did 2 days as this cop, this motorcycle cop. But I get to bust Donald Sutherland. And Donald's a pretty good actor, you know, a Canadian actor. And in the middle of this sequence, I had to bust him, and I had to be fairly aggressive with him, and I'm all dressed up and stuff. And he says, can I ask you, he says, you're quite good. Can I ask you what your two-sherry bass is? Like, he heard I was like a method actor, right? And I looked at him and I thought, he's probably hasn't wiped his ass. You know, he's probably shitting his underwear right now. I gotta wash the fuckers tonight. And so I'm looking at him and I went, no, you can't ask me. Because the whole scene is like me busting him. But what I'm really thinking is, why don't you wipe your ass? I've never got to tell Donald that. You know.
Of all the things I thought you were going to say, I never thought you would say that. Crazy. I bet when you thought you asked that question...
There's nothing more entertaining than the truth, right? I mean, creativity is one thing, but the truth is like so bloody... I had a woman come up to me yesterday at the table signing things. She says, do you have anything without your clothes on? And I went, no. But there is a film called Visiting Hours where I'm in a pair of knickers. I'm actually in a woman's, Lee Grant. I tried to kill Lee Grant, and what I did is I've got all her jewelry all over my face, and I'm wearing her underwear backwards as I try to kill her. It was my idea. I have no idea. It was before I got sober. But and I said, yeah. She went, oh, hey, I'll have to rent that tonight. Okay, I'll take this picture here. You know, do you have any pictures without your clothes on? I don't do that kind of work. I'm not equipped for it.
Is that the weirdest thing someone's ever said to you at a Comic-Con, or does it get any weirder than that? What's the craziest thing a fan's ever said to you at a Comic-Con?
I've done like 3 of these, but I was just over at a film festival in Prague, and one in Brno, and one in Vienna. And my agent said, well, there's this Comic-Con in London, or in Liverpool. Sorry.
That's where we are, yeah.
It was like a bubble in the porridge, just went, boop. And I said, okay, yeah, okay. And what was the question?
What's the weirdest thing
Oh, the
someone
weirdest
said
thing.
to you?
I don't know though.
The thing that's caught you off guard the most?
Now there is no. I mean, it's like every day there's something strange. Everything it was like.
Nothing stranger than that, though, that you just mentioned.
She said there was one woman came up to me yesterday. She's a little bit on it, about my age and stuff like that. She had that glint in her eye. You know. She goes, hey. She goes, what are you doing after this is over tonight? And I said, I'm going to have dinner with my wife. She says, so she's not here right now. But no, she said, when do you have a break coming up? And I'm going, I said, if you've been like this all your life, she said, fucking A.
You're a wanted man. You're a man in demand. It's clear.
But I love what I do. I really do. I love what I do. I want to go back to the cancer. Is there anyone here? Everyone here has had cancer or has somebody they love that's had cancer, right? Everyone, right? It's real important. I just want to put a point out. It's like 4.5 years with this follicle lymphoma I had. My wife completely looked after me. I couldn't go out of the house, couldn't do anything. It was like go get the chemo, drool on yourself for 3-4 days, you know, and then sort of stare at the TV for another 2 and then go get chemo again. And she loved me and my family loved me. It's so important to love anyone that's sick. I know it's difficult. We all get kind of morbid because when you hear the big word C, cancer and stuff, it's no longer the thing it used to be. It doesn't, you know, we do live. I'm an example of that. You know, there's even with a rare form I had and stuff. But it's real important to let people know you love them. Don't get afraid of people dying. We're all gonna die. Yeah, we're all gonna die. It's not how you die, it's how you live and how you love. That's important. So if anyone around you ill and stuff like that, let them know. It really helps. It really does help. Out of the 47 people in this study that I was taking this stuff called Rituxan, I'm the only one that got really healthy after it. It took 4.5 years, and I got an all clear last December. So, but I just want to put a plug in for that. You know, if people are sick and not feeling well, let them know. Don't sit there and go, "Ooh, they're gonna die," you know. Hey, I like you. You know, get in there and let them know. You know.
And that deserves a round of applause, guys. Absolutely, 100%.
Is that the end?
So what do you do for your perspective on life, overcoming that experience, having your wife there the whole time? It must have completely changed.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've had cancer 3-4 times now. I've had prostate cancer, thyroid cancer, the lymphoma, some other skin. I think it's the nature of where I lived when I was growing up too, this working class place with all the factories and shit. My whole family, a bunch of us have all had cancer and stuff. But I used to be one of those guys that stood around. A good friend of mine called it my number 2 look, which is like standing around looking tough, you know, and terrified that somebody's going to ask you a question like, "How you doing?" You know. And he said, and I've turned into a guy that actually, I'm the guy on the elevator that talks to you now. You know, I used to be one of those guys that stares at feet and shit like that. I'll talk to anybody. Now, I think life's too short not to say hi to somebody. It really is. It's important, you know. You know, and I was in downtown LA right after the couple of when the cancer treatments were all done and everything like that. And then, like, I'm one of those guys that talks and I'll say stuff like, "Hey, nice hat," you know, and the guy, "Hey, thank you, hey, I like your shoes," and stuff like that, you know. And it was going real well. I thought, hey, that's pretty good, you know, talking to people. I like that, you know, "Hey, what are you doing? Like your dress, like your haircut, hey, like that." And there was this one guy going by and he said, "Hey, I like your shirt." I went, "Fuck you." And I almost pissed myself laughing. It was like, oh my God, what's it like to be you? And he sort of went, and went off down the street. It was like, yeah, life's too short not to say hi to people, you know. I don't mean to lecture here, but
You still wear
yeah.
brights and paints.
I write, I don't paint. I keep promising to paint, but I know I write all the time, yeah. I've read, what I do is I work with a lot of producers, and they will send me, once I work with somebody, I usually work with them again and stuff. And I actually have a lot of producers who will send me first-time writers and directors, and they'll say, you know, they'll send me somebody and they say, we got enough money to shoot for 34 days. The script boards out at 43. Can you cut like 10 pages out of it, or can you cut 10 days of production out of it? So I'll get the young writer-director with me, and we'll sit down and I'll show them how to do it, how you move one location into, you know, 3 locations into one, and there's some characters that can all be rolled into one character and stuff like that. And I signed a non-disclosure agreement, and they pay me for it and stuff. And what I found over that actually is kind of interesting. I've done about 20 of those over the last 10 years. Is the guys that are I can't mention his name, but young. This is about 10 years ago. He came in with this wonderful script about the Valley, Los Angeles Valley, and it was his first writing directing gig. And I sat down. I said, "Well, this is what we're going to do." And I told him. He said, "Excuse me." He went in the bathroom and puked for 10 fucking minutes, just throwing up heavily, right? And then he came out and he went, "Okay, let's start." And I went, "Fucking A," you know, this guy's, and he's been very, very successful, you know. And there's the other ones that fight you at every change. They sit there and go, "Why?" Because they're frightened. They don't try. You know, they're afraid of the change. They're afraid of like doing something in a communal fashion. And those guys don't. Those people don't usually make it, male or female, you know, because. You know the saying, it takes a village to raise a child? It takes a village to make a production, a film or a theater or any of that stuff. You know, there's only like I've done 340 or some bloody films.
A lot, yeah.
A lot, yeah. I'm a bit of a whore, you know. And about 2,000 hours of television and radio and shit. And almost every one of them is a village production. It takes a group of people. You know, I've directed a few times and I've been stuck where I have no ideas. I've got 5 setups that'll take 40 minutes each, and I got 2 hours left. And I'll let the crew know. I say, I have no bloody ideas. I don't know how to get the date. And I'll have a grip come up with, they're the ones that look after the camera and the track. And they'll say, well, you've been busting our ass. Why don't we just lay the track down? You can shoot everything on this side one way, turn around and shoot it the other way. And we do both sides. I say, fucking hey, let's do that. And we ended up finishing it like 20 minutes early that day, you know. If you ask for help, I think in any walk of life, if you ask for help, we're always afraid that somebody's going to find out we don't know what we're doing. And the truth is, nobody knows what they're doing until they learn it. You got to ask for help, you know. Whether you're baking or making a movie, whether you're teaching, you know, or playing a violin, you got to ask for help, you know. Fellow up there's gone to sleep. Sorry. But I hope that answers the question. All right, way at the top with a haircut.
Cheers. The thing that strikes me is, you know, have you done an autobiography? Because it just seems such an obvious thing to do, right?
I'm a bit deaf. Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, it's an autobiography.
Have you done an autobiography, Michael?
No, I thought about it. I really did. No, I haven't. I've got so many stories, so many people I've met, you know. Everyone from Gloria Swanson, Betty Davis, Donald Pleasance, all the way over to, you know, some of the young people that no, I think about it, but I don't have time. My daughter said to me, you should start documenting some of this stuff, because it'll help people, you know. It's, I'll tell you what interests me. I read Hepburn and Tracy by Garson Kanin. Garson Kanin was a director-writer. He was married to Ruth Gordon. If you remember Ruth Gordon from Harold and Maude, she's the old one, the older lady in that. She was also in The Exorcist and some others. Great theater actress. Her husband was Garson Kanin, and they hung out with Katharine Hepburn and Tracy. And Garson came out with a book, and at the front of it he said, Catherine, or Kate, he says, this is not an autobiography as much as it's a love letter. And he says it comes out like memory. And none of the stories in it are in chronological order. They're just excerpts from their relationships. And that I might try, I think. But my daughter said, will you please start keeping notes? just write shit down, start doing it, you know, and stuff like that. Because I've been at this 52 years, you know, and I've worked with a lot of people, you know. Met a lot of people all the way from David Jones, David Bowie, all the way down, you know, and all the way up, or all the way sideways. And collectively, you know, humanity's a pretty good place, you know. If we learn to play and less fighting, I think we'll be a better place, you know. That's why I like all the people in costume and stuff like that. If more people did play like this, we'd have less wars, you know. Right? Yeah. Have we got, how much time we got?
Time for 2 more, I think. Yeah?
I'll tell you, yes, love.
Hiya. Our mum made us watch V because she loved it as a teenager and she's got very fond memories of it. And she was wondering if when you took on the role, you knew it was going to be a groundbreaking show or whether it was just a silly lizard show you were taking on.
Do you want, the truth behind V was originally it was written as if, what happened if Hitler had won in Europe? The original story that was written, I think it was Ron Shushat or something, was that Europe and Asia, Japan had won in Asia and all through Asia, Europe had become Nazified and it was all by Hitler and the Gestapo and all that. And North America was clean. It had survived. So it was really the Nazis and the right wing of the world and American television and its literature and its own encompassing wisdom said, ooh, we can't do that, you know. So he went off and he changed all the Nazis into lizards. And that's the absolute truth. He just restructured the whole story. And so it was kind of a metaphor for the idea of right-wing and fascistic kind of ideology and the grouping of humans and stuff like that, and everything being two-faced and hiding in public. So it was like an ongoing metaphor. Originally, when I did it, when they offered me the part, the character was in a wheelchair. Ham Tyler was in a wheelchair when it was originally written. So they offered it to me. I would just come down from Canada. I was in Los Angeles. And I said, I can't do this. And when I saw the producer, they said, fuck, is there not enough money? And I said, no. I said, it's a wheelchair. They said, and no comment on you. Do you remember the show called Ironside from the 70s? Raymond Burley in a wheelchair, right? I said, my name's Ironside. You're gonna put me in a fucking wheelchair. And they all went, oh, right. So the writer and I, they said to the writer, who had also written Visiting Hours, a film I'd done the year before, and they said, well, tell you what, why don't you go out to Palm Springs? Beautiful fucking place, Palm Springs. Go out to a bunch of palms, very grown up, no children, beautiful place, hot, you know, massages and all this shit. Remember, I'm a working class kid from the east end of Toronto. And they said, why don't you go out to Palm Springs for a week? We'll pay for it and figure this one out. So me and the writer were in the car driving out to Palm Springs, and by the time we got to the city limits, I'd already figured it out. I said, let's create a character who can give affection and can accept affection, who's lost his family, you know, and it'll become a metaphor for all the people that are in trouble and blah, blah, blah. And he went, yeah, that's really good, you know, that's really good. And I said, well, we don't have to go now. I mean, we restructured within 20 minutes, you know. And he said, listen, this is Los Angeles, this is the film industry. They're giving us a free week in Palm Springs, all, you know, expenses paid. We're not gonna work this out until Friday night. And I went, oh, okay. And, but that's how we got that metaphor changed around and stuff like that. Was he changed it to being lizards and aliens, and Ham Tyler became a guy that was in a wheelchair to being a guy who he was. Also, the fellow that played my Chris Farber, who played my backup in that, I met him on that show, Mickey Jones. He was a rock and roll legend, actually. He became one of my best friends. He was best man at my wedding with my wife the following year, and he just passed away 2 years ago. But have a lot of great memories from that show, you know. But I was glad to leave it when I did. It works sometimes. I'm not a big fan of TV because it's in their best interest to keep something contained, keep a character contained, keep a story contained, not always resolve the problems. And you end up hitting your marks and saying the stuff similar over and over and over again. It's kind of like insanity, you know, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And I like film. I like movies and being challenged with different characters and stuff like that. So it was good to get out of that after a year. One more question. Anybody? Oh, there you are. God, you look just like a good friend of mine, Don Helferson. I was going to say, Don, what are you doing?
I was going to ask, any stories from the set of Total Recall?
Any stories about what?
Total Recall.
Any stories about Total Recall? I got lots of stories about Total Recall. Told the one about Arnold and my sister. There's a couple that are personal I don't like to talk about. I should never even mention those, I guess, because that's like teasing you. Oh, the scene where I got my arms chopped off, right? That was done on second unit, and it was a rig. It was a rig that they'd set up. It was 3 stories high, and it was actually a working and this elevator, and we're fighting on it. And then what happens is when I fall over the edge, we had a structure I'm holding there. I have 2 false arms in the front of the jacket, the one shot, and my arms are behind my back, and they have 2 sets of explosions in the shoulders, so that when the wall hits, there's a very thin wall. I go up behind the wall, the arms are out there, and then the arms come off. They coordinate the explosions on the arms as it hits this thin veneer wall. And then he's like, see you at the party, like that, and he throws the arms over, right? We did it 3 times. And the 3rd time going up, the 2nd time going up, my knees were real bad. I hadn't had them replaced yet. And this is how self-esteem is a strange thing. I was always afraid that somebody was going to figure out that I shouldn't be there and send me home, and I'd have to roof for the rest of my life, you know. And I was going up the ladder to get into the rig, and then the rig is like, you slide into this thing, it's already attached to the side of the elevator, and I'm standing on like a tulip kind of vase with my arms behind my back, you know, and then they tie the jacket on me and we go up and do it, and Arnold's on the other side on the platform. And as I was going up the ladder, my leg gave out, and when I came down, Vic Armstrong, he's a Brit, incredible stunt director, second unit director, he said, what was that look on your face when you're going up the ladder? I said, Vic, I can't roof anymore. I went, oh, yeah, right. Let's have dinner tonight. So I got in the rig and I went up. What happened was I was so enamored with my legs, I didn't put any ear protection in. You know, you put stuff in for the explosions. And so we're getting all ready to do the shot, and the elevator's going up, and I realized I don't have any ear protection in, and I got close to, 15 squibs on either side that are going to go off, right?